Hi guys, welcome back to part 2. Before I begin here, I just want to mention again that these two video segments are supported by Copart. Pretty awesome little venture here between them and us here at Ovalbore. This car, again, was purchased at Copart out in Oregon and shipped here, and it's being used as the basis for this awesome swap, and it'll be used as a daily driver by my customer. If you're looking to do a project like this yourself or looking to have me do it for you, it's a great place to get a donor car. Lots of stuff, insurance write-offs, you get something that's rear-ended, engine transmission still good. They got a lot of flood cars right now for no reason, I'm not sure. But again, yeah, if you're gonna do any sort of project, even if it's not a BMW, check it out. They got a lot of really good deals on a lot of running, driving vehicles. So you might have better luck there than you would on Craigslist, for instance. Anyway, back to the content. Well, we're back at it. This should be the final night I'm working on this swap, but we still have quite a bit to do. All right, so we got exhaust, we got to top up the transmission. Luckily, these headers were nut and bolt, they weren't studs, so those popped out. I can just put brand new hardware in there. A lot of the times a northern car like this, the studs just snap off and you got to deal with it. Also, I'm noticing that the nuts from my 325i steering rack don't quite match the thread pitch for the actual studs on the 330 tie rod ends. So that might dictate me having to pull the tie rod ends off that 325i rack down there, one of which has a boot on it, not both, and put those on just to get these threaded on. Unfortunately, even though I keep a box of hardware, I don't see anything in there that necessarily looks like a tie rod end nut, so that's kind of my own fault for not keeping track of that and threading them back on. Again, that pulley we've talked about, and I got to get that back on there. I do have to put the feed line for the power steering, which is right here. I gotta get a hose clamp for this now, because typically, I dodged a bullet there. That goes right here on the feed for the pump. Typically it's got one of those compression band clamps on it, which are just terrible, like these. But since I actually want to have serviceability in the future, I'm gonna go ahead and ditch that. Water pump and thermostat still need to be done. Motor mount bolts, upper and lower, need to be done. I did take care of that crown strap just before quitting last time. The pedal set needs to go in. You can see right here. I'm not sure if I can quite shove it out for you guys on video. Might have to do it from inside out. But this is just above that metal piece that holds your fuel filter in. There's a little rubber grommet here, which is just behind the carpet, and that's where your clutch line actually comes out. Once it comes out, it's a hard line, then you go to a soft line, and then you can pop your slave cylinder right onto that. We are going with a used slave cylinder. They're pretty easy to change out and not terribly inexpensive, so that's something we can deal with later. But on the bottom side, that's pretty much it. Top side, it's a whole bunch of little stuff, just that little rain tray. We have a whole new cooling system, that radiator over there, the hoses. I don't know. Nothing left to do is a huge job, but there's a lot of little jobs, and it's going to take up a lot of time. So I got here pretty early today. It's only about 4 o'clock. Should be able to easily get this thing running and driving by the end of the night, and that's my goal. So yeah, top side, really don't have all that much to do. I do still have to find the bolts for the DISA. I'm probably just gonna rob them from the 2.5 liter just to save myself some time. Gotta put the lid back on the e-box after I get this plug right here that I have to put a new pin in for the cruise control signal. Upper air boot, Canon intake, again, the water pump, the thermostat. I'm not touching the valve cover, that's in pretty good shape. The rain tray I mentioned earlier goes right up there. We got the cabin filter and a little panel that goes over top of that. And then this thing's gonna be looking pretty legit. So really not that much to do on the engine itself. Oh yeah, upper engine mount bolts too. Gotta remember those. But most of what I got left here is just some wiring and then the pedal set. along with bleeding that clutch. So that's the first thing I'm going to jump into, is just getting all that fully installed. There's going to be a couple butt connectors in there, getting power to the EWS with the switch, and then ground to the ECU for the cruise control. If you're curious about any of that, do please go back to some of my older videos. Just type in E46 manual swap, you'll find it. I go over that in pretty good detail, which wires to put where. Even if you have no intention of coating your car, you can still drive it every day, perfectly reliable, without stability control, if you just do those couple of little wires. So anyway, that was a Porsche oil pan. I'm gonna get back to it. Well, we have the old water pump out, we have the old thermostat out. Motor mounts are all tightened down. The pedal set is in. The clutch is in and bled. We have a functional clutch pedal. I haven't put any of the interior back together yet because I still have to run that little baby wire between the pedals and the E-box up here. The exhaust is in. For whatever reason, it sits in really far. I'm not sure why. It's a name brand exhaust, so it shouldn't do that. What else? I don't think I've done too much else besides that, but right now I'm just working on the thermostat water pump. Then I'll be dropping in the new radiator, new hoses, throw the belts on, fill her up with power steering, top it the rest of the way off with oil, still have to bolt on the DISA, rain tray. It's little stuff at this point, so we're doing pretty well. It's just, wow, one thing after another. The whole order of operations on this project is something that's not at all intuitive, but once you've done it a few times, really not all that bad, I suppose. It's been a solid chunk of labor on this job here, but this car will be worth it in the end. I'm excited for the test drive. It's a well broken in engine and transmission. The clutch isn't broken in yet, but should still be able to have a little bit of fun, which will be nice. So I'm gonna keep plugging away here, but figured I'd update before I get too far along, just to show that I care. Well, I just want to make sure that the safety switch is working. Oh my. So it shouldn't start right now, and it doesn't. Clutch in. Starts right up. Power steering definitely needs some fluid, but she sounds pretty good. I'll call that a success. Well, with that, I give her the clean bill of health. The 3-pedal club. I do still have to get the boot and the shift knob. Whoops. Oh, I still have to add power steering fluid too. But all good. Just needs to go out for the final little coating to get the IKE and the EGS recoated. And we will be all good. Oh yeah, she's a little low. Looking good in red though, so that's a good sign. Another E46, happy as a clam. Bigger engine, manual transmission. The world goes round. There we go. Cool, I'm gonna top it up, get it off the lift, and see what we can do. I didn't even get a chance to show you guys the completed product. He was so excited he came and got the car and is on his way home. So everything went pretty well. The only issue we had was the bottom of the radiator. Since the heat exchanger is still there for the transmission, we're not using it. I put the manual plug in, but it was leaking. To fix that, I just threw in the automatic plug that came with the radiator set, and leak stopped. We're good to go. So now just a little bit of cleanup. And on to the next project. I'm not even sure what's next at this point. I gotta look at the calendar, but it's kind of nice to have this thing off the lift. What a mess. Anywho, thanks as always for following along. And like, share, subscribe. Thanks.